From the brilliant creators of Dark, comes a new Netflix series entitled 1899. And if you clicked on this video, it's because we assume that you already watched this series, but you still have questions that need to be answered. Don't worry, you came to the right place, as we are going to do our best to help you with those questions that you may have, such as, what is Project Prometheus? Why choose the year 1899? And will there be a season 2? Before we begin, just know that if you haven't watched 1899, this video will contain heavy spoilers for this series. In other words, this is your spoiler warning.
Wake up.
1899 follows mainly the story of Moira Singleton, or Moira Franklin as she identifies herself throughout most of the series, a neurologist and one of the first female doctors in the UK, traveling alone to America. Of course, just like their first hit series, Dark, this series doesn't just follow the story of one character. We also get to see Ake's perspective as the captain of the ship, and how he's being haunted by the death of his wife and 3 daughters.
Nina!
A pregnant young woman named Tove, who travels with her family, and was assaulted as a consequence of her brother being intimate with their boss's son. Ling Yi, a mysterious young woman from China, traveling with her mother Yuk Jae, and how one miscalculation ends up haunting her. And so on. So, throughout the series we think that this is the year 1899 and that all these people are traveling from the UK to America to escape their past and start over. That's until we get to all the twists that happen in the series. The first big twist came at the end of episode 3. When we saw the characters of this supposedly 19th century story being watched on multiple TV screens. From there, we saw how tech devices kept appearing, like Daniel's pocket device. Or the first mate's triangular messaging system. Elliot reappeared in that cabinet at the bar, or the fact that time was frozen in a particular moment. We knew that obviously something was off and that they were being manipulated to a certain extent. And we were also led to believe that Moira's father was the one manipulating everything. But boy were we fooled. The finale explained some things. First of all, the 1899 voyage of the Kerberos was a computer simulation taking place on board the spaceship Prometheus in the year 2099, and jointly experienced by either 15, the number of people plugged into the same simulator pod as Moira, or 1,423 people, the total number of passengers on board. Moira was not a 19th century doctor, but a computer scientist who created the Kerberos simulation with her husband Daniel. She had willingly entered the simulation in an attempt to forget the existence of her and Daniel's son Elliot. Unfortunately, we still don't have a reason on why she was trying to forget them. But by assuming that what Henry showed Elliot is actually real, we may think that Moira came to her senses eventually and realized what she did with her son, making her completely unstable and wanting to forget everything, thus creating that prison they were trapped on.
I have to let him go.
I can't. Don't be afraid. Forget.
As we know, the Kerberos simulation ran in a repeating 8-day loop that had happened countless times before. Every time, the passengers would make the same decisions, and as a result, they would die, and the ship would be destroyed in a storm before being sucked through to another simulated dimension where all the previous ships were stored. Then it would all start again, exactly as before. Nobody had really died because their physical bodies were still alive on board the spaceship. None of the simulation ships had ever reached their destination. But just like it was mentioned in the series by Elliot and confirmed later on by Henry, this was the first time they got so far on the simulation. So, why exactly base this simulation in the year 1899? Believe it or not, we believe that question was answered in the very first episode of the series. After Moira wakes up and sees the article form the missing ship called the Prometheus, which she assumes that her brother was in it since he's been missing for the same amount of time as the Prometheus itself, she picks up the article, reads it, and then sets it on her nightstand. And if you pay close attention, right beside it we can see multiple books on it. One of them specifically is the I grab her there. The book is called The Awakening and was written by Kate Chopin. What does it have to do with it, you ask? Let's get into it and see where the connection is made. The Awakening is a novel by Kate Chopin, first published in 1899. Set in New Orleans and on the Louisiana Gulf Coast at the end of the 19th century, the plot centers on Edna Pontellier and her struggle between her increasingly unorthodox views on femininity and motherhood with the prevailing social attitudes of the turn-of-the-century American South. It is one of the earlier American novels that focuses on women's issues without condescension. It is also widely seen as a landmark work of early feminism, generating a mixed reaction from contemporary readers and critics. We know that Maura created the simulation to forget about her life, specifically Daniel and Elliot, and if we connect the dots, we can assume that this was her social rebellion just like Edna's in The Awakening. Now, why specifically call the ships Kerberos and Prometheus? For this question we need to take a leap further back than the year 1899, specifically all the way back to the Greek mythology. In the Greek mythology, Cerberus/Kerberos is the three-headed dog that guards the gates of Hades to stop the dead from leaving the underworld. How is this relevant to the series, or how is connected? Simple enough. In the series, the Kerberos ship simulation traps the consciousnesses of the space travelers and doesn't allow them to leave. So just like the three-headed dog, its purpose is to maintain our beloved characters in place, in this case the simulation. Moving on. If we look into Prometheus in the Greek mythology, Prometheus was a titan who, in various versions of the story, both created humankind and stole fire from the gods to advance human development, which of course led to science and technology. In consequence of his actions, Prometheus was trapped in an infinite loop of being tied to a rock and having his liver pecked out by an eagle every day. Sound familiar? Because it certainly sounds like the repeated punishments of the Kerberos passengers. From the looks of it, we are definitely getting a second season for this amazing series. We still have a lot of unanswered questions and hopefully we will get them soon enough.
This is not her prison. It's yours. You saw the truth, didn't you? You're trapped in this simulation so your mother can keep you alive.
You're lying. That's not my memory.
Don't be afraid. I'll forget. Promise.
Don't be afraid.
No!
You'll forget this ever happened, just like all the times before.
Tell me, what's your opinion on the series? Did you like it? Do you agree with what we discussed today? Don't forget to leave your opinion in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the video. And remember that if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and turn the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos. This has been All Around.